everywhere, GBS. Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and you are just in time for the Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your Ambassador, Susan Nganga. To our first story, 4 people are reported dead after protests erupted in Luanda, the capital of Angola. The Angolan government recently raised fuel prices, a move that did not go well with taxi drivers who began to protest immediately. Vandalism and looting, as well as interruption in transport, have been reported. Here are the details.
Thousands of demonstrators gathered outside the United Nations headquarters in New York on Tuesday, calling for an immediate end to Israel's blockade of Gaza, waving Palestinian flags and holding signs that read, "Lift the siege and freedom for Gaza." The protesters urged the international community to take stronger action against what they described as a humanitarian crisis.
I think we have had an impact. We haven't stopped the killing. We haven't stopped the genocide.
The rally comes amid mounting global criticism of the ongoing blockade, which human rights groups say has severely restricted the flow of food, medicine, and essential supplies into the densely populated enclave. Protesters accused Israel of collective punishment and called on the UN to enforce international law and protect Palestinian civilians.
With giving safety to Jews, I think that's absolutely.
Now moving forward, it is not yet over in Zambia, as the government now expresses a demand to inspect the body of the late former 6th President Edgar Lungu, whose remains have not been put to final resting place since he passed on in June. The controversial move has sparked opposition from family members, Zungu's opposition party, and his legal team. They all read a political motive from the government led by President Hakainde. Here is more from Zambia.
The late former 6th Zambian President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's death is continuing to split Zambia apart, as the government and Lungu's opposition party seem intent on settling political scores over his demise, as the legal battle ensues in court in South Africa over whether his mortal remains should be repatriated to Zambia for burial as the government wishes, or he be interred in South Africa where he died as per the family wishes. Another controversy has emerged. President Hakainde Hichilema's government has now expressed a demand to be allowed to verify the late Lungu's body physically. Sources close to the government say this will help to dispel misinformation and conspiracy theories about his death. The demand has raised critical questions on trust, transparency, and the underlying motive behind such a sensitive and unprecedented move. Family members, his party, and the legal experts who oppose the move argue it lacks legal merit, as well as undermining the dignity of the former head of state. They now plan to challenge the move in court. This intention from the government again threatens to deepen the already strained relation between the UPND government and the opposition party. One thing is certain: the memory of the late Lungu is becoming a battlefield for political narrative and control. Victor Udin.
Now to our earlier story. 4 people are reported dead after protests erupted in Luanda, the capital of Angola. The Angolan government recently raised fuel prices, a move that did not go well with taxi drivers who began the protest immediately. Vandalism and looting, as well as interruption in transport, have been reported. Here are the details.
Luanda, the capital of Angola, is a no-go zone now, as protesters have taken to the streets to demonstrate against the government's recent move to hike fuel prices. What had just begun as protests quickly turned chaotic, with looting, burning barricades as protesters clashed with the police. Immediately, the government raised the price of gasoline from 300 to 400 per litre. Taxi drivers launched the protest, which have so far escalated, triggering widespread anger across Angola.
Olha o que a população está a fazer! Olha o que a população está a fazer!
The Luanda provincial government has condemned the violence, reporting at least 4 people dead, while about 500 people have been arrested following the demos. Protesters are chanting anti-government slogans against President João Lourenço and the ruling MPLA party that has ruled Angola since 1974. Victor Jin, the ambassador.
With just 3 months to go until Ivory Coast's presidential election, a major political development is making waves. President Alassane Ouattara has officially declared his bid for a 4th term in office, a move that's reigniting tensions and raising constitutional questions as opposition fight to be included in the race. This stage is set for a heated and high-stake contest this October. Here are the details.
Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has announced he'll seek a 4th term in the upcoming October election, ending months of speculation. The 83-year-old leader said the country faces serious security and economic threats and that his experience is needed to ensure stability.
Oui, je suis candidat parce que
Yes, I'm a candidate because the constitution of our country allows me to seek another term and my health permits it. I am a candidate because our country is facing unprecedented security, economic and monetary challenges, the management of which requires experience.
Ouattara, who has been in power since 2011, argues that both the constitution and his health allow him to run again, though critics view this as a violation of democratic norms, especially after he reset term limits in 2016 to enable his 2020 re-election. Opposition leaders Laurent Gbagbo and Tidjane Thiam are currently barred from running and are calling for their reinstatement before the August deadline.
Africans need to have the right and the possibility to choose freely who should lead them. That's all we're asking for.
As the October 25th vote approaches, the stage is set for a highly contested and closely watched election. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
We'll keep him updated on the election as it develops. The ambassador will now take a short break. We'll be right back with more Azudi Bank, global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Welcome to Fun Dance Class. Today we will continue learning about Jingle Bell Rock. Friends, first you cross your arm and put it on top of your head, and as you go in left side, you open it, then you come back to your place.
And then you make your leg 90 degrees, and then as you put your legs until 90 degrees, you need to jump a bit. 1, 2. Then as you jump a bit, you need to stretch your hands downwards.
We are going to go straight to the topic of the day, which is AI in education. AI in education.
AI is called artificial intelligence. I think this is something that computer techs designed to make our life easier.
If you just write everything that's on ChatGPT, when you're going to your work or whatever you want to do, your interview, you're going to feel miserable.
We are going to use AI to show out your creativity, then that's not really you who did it, but like there's AI and there's you combined together.
AI should be just there to maybe enhance your points, but not just to generate for you the answers.
I think it's like 50-50 because sometimes it's like, yeah, you're just using it to like enhance like your creativity, and then other times it's like you're just stealing other people's ideas. You're not like really thinking.
Stay tuned as we dive into the vibrant world of creativity and expression.
Practice your work.
Yes.
And when you keep on practicing, you get better,
Yes.
better and better each day.
Yes.
And as you get better,
Yes.
you get now that niche of yours. Yes.
What advice can you give to those watching who are in a 9-to-5 job, but they have a gift?
My advice would be,
Yes.
do not sleep on your talent.
Yes.
Just show it up to the world.
To the world.
Whether it is art, whether it is music, wherever you are gifted, let the world know what you are doing.
Which classic artist would you love to spend one day painting with, and why?
Grandma Moses. She started painting in her 70s.
Oh.
And she excelled.
Yes.
As, she was a painter.
Yes.
But she started painting professionally
Yes.
well past 70s.
Wow.
And by the time she died in 102, she had done marvelously in the art world.
Hello, my name is Nyabio. I'm from Mahanim. Call this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian-based. And when I see Christian-based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think the school is the best school your children can go to.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now, outside the towering glass walls of the United Nations headquarters in New York, a chorus of voices rose in protest as demonstrators demanded an end to Israel blockade in Gaza. A decades-long policy, they say, has returned the Strip into an open-air prison. The rally, fueled by growing global concern over the humanitarian toll in the region, called on world leaders to act where diplomacy has stalled. Here are the details by Betty.
Outside the United Nations headquarters in New York on Tuesday, calling for an immediate end to Israel's blockade of Gaza, waving Palestinian flags and holding signs that read, "Lift the siege and freedom for Gaza." The protesters urged the international community to take stronger action against what they described as a humanitarian crisis.
I think we have had an impact. We haven't stopped the killing. We haven't stopped the genocide.
The rally comes amid mounting global criticism of the ongoing blockade, which human rights groups say has severely restricted the flow of food, medicine, and essential supplies into the densely populated enclave. Protesters accused Israel of collective punishment and called on the UN to enforce international law and protect Palestinian civilians.
But giving safety to Jews, I think that's absolutely false, and I think more and more people are seeing that.
Organizers of the demonstration said they would continue to hold weekly actions until meaningful pressure is placed on Israel to ease restrictions. UN officials have not commented directly on the protest, but have previously warned that conditions in Gaza are unstable and worsening by the day.
The International Monetary Fund has raised its forecast for global economic growth, citing improved financial conditions and easing trade tension. In its latest update from Washington, the fund now expects global growth to reach 3.0% in 2025 and 3.1% in 2026. That's modest upward revision from its April outlook, marking a 0.2 percentage point increase for 2025 and 0.1 percentage point for 2026. Still, the International Monetary Fund wants that growth remains below pre-April expectation, with global trade tensions continue to weigh on economic performance. Inflation, meanwhile, is expected to ease gradually, falling to 4.2% in 2025 and 3.6% the following year, a sign of returning stability in global markets. But the outlook remains fragile. The IMF points to geopolitical tension, fiscal vulnerability, and potential shocks to central bank independence as key downside risk. Even with the current optimism, any abstract tightening in financial markets could quickly reverse gains.
Global growth has been revised up to 3% in 2025 and 3.1% in 2026, reflecting stronger than expected front-loading, lower tariff rates compared to early April, easier financial conditions, including a weaker US dollar, and fiscal expansion in some jurisdictions. Still, projections remain about 0.2 percentage point below our pre-April 2nd forecasts, indicating that the trade tensions are hurting the global economy. Global inflation continues to decline, reaching 4.2% in 2025 and 3.6% in 2026. Easier financial conditions, including a weaker US dollar, and fiscal expansion in some jurisdictions. Still, projections remain about 0.2 percentage point below. Risks remain tilted to the downside. A breakdown in trade talks or renewed protectionism could dampen growth globally and fuel inflation in some countries. Persistent uncertainty may weigh on investment, while geopolitical tensions and fiscal vulnerabilities pose additional threats. Financial conditions have eased, but they could tighten abruptly, especially in case of threats to central bank independence. On the upside, breakthroughs in trade negotiations could boost confidence, and structural reforms could lift long-term productivity. Financial conditions have eased, but they could tighten abruptly, especially in case of threats to central bank independence. On the upside, reducing policy uncertainty is essential. This is especially true for trade policy, where the global economy needs clear, transparent, and predictable rules. Many countries need to address fiscal vulnerabilities and rebuild fiscal buffers, even if they face increased spending needs. Central banks must maintain price and financial stability while preserving independence. Exchange rate flexibility remains key, even if some tailored interventions may be appropriate in certain cases, in line with our integrated policy framework. Finally, structural reforms that ease policy trade-offs and support long-term growth remain essential to long-term prosperity.
In a rare diplomatic escalation between Western allies, the Netherlands has taken the unprecedented step of banning 2 Israeli ministers from entering the country, citing moral outrage over the ongoing crisis in Gaza. The move, targeting far-right cabinet members Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel, signals a sharp shift in tone from The Hague and reflect mounting European frustration with Israel handling of the conflict. Here are the details.
The Netherlands has imposed travel bans on 2 far-right Israeli ministers, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, in a move that has escalated tensions between the two countries. The Dutch government announced the sanctions in a letter released late Monday, citing it called an unbearable and indefensible humanitarian situation in Gaza. The letter also stated that Israel's ambassador to the Netherlands had been summoned to receive a formal protest.
Israel is still not fully implementing this agreement. I have taken the step to make the case in the EU for a suspension of the trade part of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. That is significant because then it is about billions of euros of Israeli exports.
The decision marks a rare and public diplomatic rebuke from an European ally and reflects growing international frustration over Israel's conduct in the Gaza conflict. The Dutch government did not elaborate on the exact terms of the ban, but made it clear of its disapproval of the minister's role in shaping Israel's policy towards the occupied territories.
The term allies is for NATO allies, but Israel is traditionally a friend of the Netherlands, and the Netherlands has taken significant steps behind the scenes, but also on stage, to make clear that this war must end.
Israel has sharply condemned the travel bans, labeling the move as hostile and politically motivated. Officials in Jerusalem warned that the decision would harm bilateral ties and undermine diplomatic cooperation with the Netherlands going forward. Beatrice Wangoi, The Ambassador News.
And that's all for today. With me, Ambassador Susan Nganga on The Ambassador 1 p.m. Follows all our stories at GBS TV Africa. It's updated throughout the day. I was your Ambassador Susan Nganga. Have a good afternoon.